What was the seminal moment of 2016 in Clinton versus Trump?
The seminal moment of Clinton versus Trump. I was going to say of the whole campaign was the moment when it became clear to everyone that he was actually going to be the nominee. It was like we were in this fog. Yeah, I think people in the media, I think elites, I think the pontificators never really thought it was going to happen. And I think we felt that way really through the very end of the campaign. I mean, very obviously. And it was, if there was a seminal moment, it was election night when it finally smacked everybody in the face that this is real.
Dan, what was the seminal moment?
I think the
Don't disagree with your wife.
I'm not going to. I'm going to choose one that I know she would agree with.
Yeah.
The Access Hollywood tape was a seminal moment, and it was a seminal moment because I think it lodged the Clinton campaign to a false sense of complacency. At that moment they thought he's doomed. They've sort of delegitimized the idea of him as commander-in-chief. And then they were talking about Georgia and Utah and playing in Arizona. And it was all about expanding the map. And they completely ignored the core, their base. And if you look at, they just lost about 100,000 votes in 3 states.
That's a good answer.
Well, is there any way in which it was seminal in that it revealed the current president-elect to be a sexual predator?
He had revealed that earlier. I mean, I think that was...
I'm saying in terms of the impact it had. I think it changed the strategy of one of the campaigns and led to them ignoring something that was...
Good answer. Bob Shrum, what was your seminal moment?
I think there were two, and they're really related to each other. One, we had a much more civil political conference at USC this week. Mike Murphy was there, and Joel Benenson was there, and there was pretty broad agreement that Comey had a big impact. And I think that really probably did stop the momentum. I think Joel's right about that. But the Clinton campaign bears responsibility for the moment when they decided somehow or other that they were not going to have an economic argument, a comparative economic argument in case that they were going to prosecute in those Rust Belt states against the Republican nominee. You have to change so few votes to change the outcome of the election. The Obama model was there. There was a way to go after his business record, tie it to his economic policies, change 30,000 votes, 35,000 votes, and she's president of the United States.
Harold, seminal moment for you?
I agree with all of these things. I would add.
It's a uniter.
Well, but I mean, I think the Comey thing, there's no doubt. I don't think that there's any doubt when he won tonight, to Campbell's point and your point about the tape. I thought the night in which, I can't remember who performed, it might have been Jay-Z and Beyonce, who I'm fans of, but I watched that rally, then I watched Trump say, I don't have J-Lo or Beyonce or Jay-Z, it's just me and my family. And at that moment, it crystallized for me that he was the economic champion. He was a champion voice for middle-class America. And the momentum had stopped. And you could feel in the States and looking at some of the polling data that the movement was not what we wanted on her behalf.
Thank you, Secretary Ford. Mike Murphy, your seminal moment, please.
The convention, the Hillary Clinton convention, much praised, including by me, but when you look back at it, it shows the head of the Democratic Party and Clinton messaging was not, it was a lot on bathrooms and identity, not a lot on spot welding and lost jobs. And second, when Trump attacked McCain on July 18th, 2015, and nothing happened bad to him, in fact, he went up a little, that was an early canary in the coal mine. It's going to be a very different kind of election.
Right. You were about to fight. You want to fight with Shrum, right?
I don't want to fight with him, but I think it's easy. Comey is an easy punching bag. But if you actually rewind the tape, March of 2015, when we first learned about the server, when the New York Times did the first piece about the server, once that server story came out, that was it. I mean, there was a trustworthiness issue that continued throughout the campaign that was impossible for her to get away from. So I know that Comey is easy to sort of blame at the end, but she had that problem for about a year and a half as a result of her own making.
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I don't disagree with that. That was the original sin. But if you talk about what affected the vote at the end, what was seminal in the sense of having an impact, I think it was first Comey, who brought the email issue alive again. And secondly, it was the fact that, as Mike said and I said earlier, there was no economic and jobs argument, particularly in those Rust Belt states. That's what Obama did to Romney, as you know, in 2012, and that was the model that should have been pursued here.
But she would have gotten out of trouble a lot better had she let the energy out of the lying, stinking, can't believe argument. Instead, they did it was a huge mistake from the beginning, part of their culture, I'm afraid, where they just got into a defensive crouch and dug deeper. They never let the energy out of that thing. That set up, and I agree with Bob, it was the Comey event that froze the race, but ultimately she kind of owns that problem.
From my lens, a seminal moment a seminal moment. There were so many, and there's some obvious ones, is when Donald Trump gave an election night press conference during the primaries, and it was carried live by all of the networks, and he used it to do an infomercial on his brand of steaks. Yeah. I think that was like a kind of symbolically a
Put that right
moment.
in the Smithsonian.
Yeah, right there.
Alex?
I think this was not acknowledged as such. First debate, Donald Trump was actually winning the beginning of that first debate because he took Hillary Clinton on the issue of TPP and had said, nobody believes that this is how you're going to govern. Nobody believes your message on the economy and on trade. And that was the nugget of his argument that I think won him the presidency.
And Steve McMahon.
So with the wind at his back and headed toward a first or second place finish in New Hampshire, Marco Rubio inexplicitly turned into a robot during that debate 2 days before New Hampshire, which not only cost him his opportunity to take down Donald Trump, but is probably the last moment that anybody had a chance to do it. And he was the last guy who could have, and he froze.
That is, as we say in New Hampshire, a wicked good answer. Pretty big moment.